All right.
So, hi, Glenise. Welcome to Ovis. How are you?
Thank you. I'm very well. How about yourself?
I'm doing well, doing well. So, here today we're talking with Glenise Kinard-Moore. She is the founder of SkiiMoo Tech and creator of VDOM. Actually, what are your pronouns? I don't want to be misrepresenting you on the podcast.
No, you're absolutely cool. It is she, her, for sure.
Perfect. So, let's just jump right into it. Tell me about how you got into this journey of starting SkiiMoo Tech.
For sure. So I claim to be a tech nerd. I love technology. I love electronics. I love anything that's innovative and is going to progress us as a human race. I love it. So being a lesbian myself, I was sitting around with friends one day just joking and was like, it'd be really nice if we had a device that, was super convenient. We could wear it all day and it goes from flaccid to erect at the push of a button. And I literally said those words and all my friends were like, you've been drinking too much. And I'm like, no,
Yeah,
seriously, think
exactly.
about this. Think about this. And they were like, you know what? Actually, that is a really good idea. And so I researched it for about a year and decided, hey, there's a market for this. It hasn't been created yet. So why not me? So I went ahead and did a little bit more research, put 1, 2, and 3 together and started making a device.
That is so outrageous and wonderful, and it's exactly how I feel like entrepreneurship journeys often start. So I would love to get a little bit into the technical component. Can you tell us how the VDOM actually works and who, in your mind, it's really intended for?
Absolutely. So, as I mentioned, it is app connected. So it's connected to a mobile app on your cell phone, or you can access it and control it by your smart watch as well.
Oh,
And it's all right now. The first iteration of it is Bluetooth connection only. There will be some later versions of it that is going to be Wi-Fi connectable as well. So if you're at a distance, you want to leave your device at home, you can actually use it with your partner if you're traveling for work. I travel for work a lot for my 9 to 5.
yeah,
So that was the thought process behind it, but I'll get into the technology on that piece later.
cool.
But it is a completely electronic device. So it feels just like a real human penis. It's the same weight, everything. It comes in 3 different sizes, comes in 3 different skin tones initially.
Okay.
And literally, it's just a simple push of a button. Push a button, and you have an erection. The
So
thought
cool.
process about it was like, I like to have spontaneous sex with my wife. And if we're out and about, I'm trying not to go too far in the weeds, but, I don't want to necessarily have to use my hands all the time if we've been out and about. So I want to be able
Yeah.
to just, hey.
Hey,
So,
yeah.
hey. So, the thought process was, how can I make this convenient? How can I already be wearing it and it be discreet, So that's how I created a device and was like, it's got to be electronic. It has to be comfortable, and it has to be discreet. That's for me.
Yeah.
So that was the basis of how the device was created.
Cool. I mean, I can see so many applications for that, like from, lesbian sex to trans identified people and just you know, I think what's cool that you touched on is the fact that like hands get dirty. In fact, if you want to have something spontaneous, you don't necessarily want to be like, I need hand sanitizer, I
Exactly.
need to go do this, and then you want to be able to just get right to it. No, I love that so
Exactly.
much. So on a kind of more personal level, have you experienced any challenges being a woman of color in the tech space and in the, I guess, entrepreneurship scene?
Absolutely. So we already know that being a woman of color in the US or the world period we already have to work 10 times harder.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I've experienced with this entire process has been the fact that it's a known fact that female founded companies in the US only receive about 2.7% of VC and investor funding as it is already.
Yeah.
So as a Black woman, that's even lower of a percentage for me. So I was, blessed enough to be able to fund this project all the way up to this point right now with my own personal funds. I am just now opening the door for fundraising, but that has been the biggest headache. You have, some people out in Silicon Valley, here in California, out in California,
Yeah.
that they can have an idea and they're getting funded. We don't necessarily have that luxury. So
Right.
that's probably been one of the largest challenges. But at the same time, it's not necessarily a bad thing for me personally, because it's made me perfect this device to the best of my abilities without any outside entities, you know, telling me exactly how it should be, before I got it to a certain point, because I didn't know exactly
Yeah.
what it was going to be. I had an idea, but from a business perspective, I didn't know exactly what it was going to be or what it needed to be, so that I can keep, the LGBT community at the forefront with this product. So it
Right.
was good to not necessarily have, investors coming from all directions like they are now, and wanting to, get in and, be able to dictate, the real true overall goal and ideal of the product.
Fantastic. I mean, I love that you mentioned keeping LGBTQ community at the forefront. I found that it's really surprising how few products are on the market with queer people directly in mind. So when I first saw your product, I was like, sorry, like, what is this now? And I've actually shared the iFund Women link with several friends and family to say, okay, hey, it's
Thank
coming.
you.
Yeah, no worries. Like, gotta support people. So, like, I would love to hear more about your process. Like, did you go traditional design thinking route? Like, how did you, I guess, validate the proof of concept?
For sure. So by day, I am an information security and cybersecurity auditor, IT auditor. So I have no engineering background by any means. I
Okay.
literally go into different large corporation systems and make sure that their systems are locked down appropriately. That's as about
Nice.
as technologically sound that I am. So I know networks, I know software, I know those aspects, but I really don't know how to create a product. So it took a lot of research and just a lot of shooting my shot. So I went through vetting a lot of different engineers, reading up on engineering, trying to get a really good understanding of, what's the approach to creating a device like this, and is it really feasible? After a lot of research, a lot of studying, I found, the right prototyping company, and I've been involved ever since. I went to
Okay.
them and said, hey, I know the basics here. I know that there's three elements. There's water, air, and something else or whatever. And it's like, I know those sort of kind of those things. So, how can I input one of these elements in here to, make it go up? Just make it go up. You know what I mean?
Make it
Like
happen.
this is my basic, like, layman terms. I'm going to these engineers, they're all looking at me like, what?
What are you talking about?
Especially as a black lesbian woman, they're like, what? You want to create a what? Um, so so I had to learn overnight. I had to do my research. And I, started looking at different materials. I started looking at body safe materials, and just, working out, was this feasible, before I even took it to the engineers that are actually working on it right now.
Yeah.
And once we started to get into the motions, anytime they run into a headache or anything, they're like, hey, we have this issue, we're going to figure it out. I'm like, wait a minute, what's the issue? And then I get into, jumping in and saying, hey, what about this, will this work? So I became an engineer ultimately overnight. I need a degree for it, to be honest, at this point.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just really, just really trying to just getting in the weeds with it. I feel like I'm a person that can learn anything if I put my mind to it, like
Yeah.
all of us out here. A lot of times we just wash things off because we feel like it's just too hard, and I didn't take that approach. I wanted to be able to speak to my product from any level that needed to be, and yeah, so I just learned.
I love that hustle. So I love that you have a security background in cybersecurity. One of the biggest issues in sex tech devices is people are worried about data security. They're worried about their personal, like, if you hack my sex toy, like, that's my life, like, in the
Yeah.
world. So how have you been thinking about um, security in terms of, well, security in that aspect with the product?
Absolutely. I'm a huge advocate when it comes to privacy, and government involvement when it comes to personal privacy. So that was already at the forefront before I even started, working with the engineers. I wanted to make sure that the communication between the device, between the actual VDOM device itself and then the mobile app, was secure on a certain level. And then from the users, because there is an aspect of the mobile app where the users can add a partner to the actual app and communicate via the app, via short messages, or they can give actual control to their partner as well. So I
Oh,
knew
interesting.
that from the beginning that every level of that needed to be as private as possible. And I wanted to limit the amount of data that we were actually capturing. A
Okay.
lot of investors want to be able to see, how much data can you get from this so that we can resell it. And I didn't take that approach. We have the bare basics of the data so that we can learn how our users actually use the device, but it's discrete. It's discrete information. It's private information. We don't necessarily capture names and phone numbers or anything like that. Now we do have to capture the actual device, MAC address on the actual device itself.
Yeah.
But even that, we are attempting to apply some very high level encryption that's going to happen with the app itself, so that even when we're capturing those MAC addresses and stuff like that, there is some one-time passwords that are involved so that you can connect with your partner and sync up to the actual device itself. So the entire device, the entire mobile app itself, we have incorporated security at every single level, just so that we can make sure we protect people's privacy. In addition to that as well, our largest market right now is Europe, it's Australia, and of course Denmark is in that mix for Europe. But those are our largest markets, with the UK at the top. We have to go by the EU privacy laws, which are way more strenuous than they are here in the US.
Yeah.
So to me, that was an awesome challenge, because I know that if I can adhere to the EU laws, then I'm good anywhere that I go.
And you're set. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And so I'm going to ask you the question we usually use to wrap up the show, because we're
Mhm.
very advice oriented and we want to make sure that we are supporting entrepreneurs in the sex tech space. And so the question I have for you is, what advice would you give other sex tech players looking to design for queer people?
Absolutely. Make sure you know exactly the full spectrum of why are you creating this product. If you have that at the forefront, then every step that you take from there and as long as it comes back to the why, then you should be solid. I see a lot of people get deferred. There was times where I was like, well, maybe I should go this direction or this direction with this product or the communication of the product. And I was like, no, I'm gonna stay true to exactly why I'm creating this product. So keep your strong hold on, the why, and never defer from that. That's probably the biggest piece, because there's so many unknowns in entrepreneurship and business. There's so many things that at the end of the day, your investors are gonna want to see. They don't care who makes the dollar sign. They just care that the dollar sign is made. But if you stick to the why, then the dollar sign can't end up, covering up the why in the first place. And that's why I've been able to get this far and keeping the LGBT community at the forefront for sure.
I love it so much. So thank you so much for coming on the show. If
Absolutely.
people want to learn more about your product or contribute to your campaign, where can they find you online?
Yes. So our website is www.thevdom, it's VDOM.com.
Okay.
And our crowdfunding page, we just opened up the woodworks for our crowdfunding page. And it's at ifundwomen.com/projects/VDOM. But you can also check us out on IG. It's the.vdom on IG, and then VDOM ATL anywhere else. So Facebook, to where you can find us on there. And there is absolutely a link for our crowdfunding page in all of those locations.
Cool. And we'll attach everything with in our show notes so that everyone can find you really
Absolutely.
easily. Cool.
Okay.
Thank you so much.